Sign up today for a 7-day free trial at alerts.chartguys.com. Hey everyone, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. So we just had a bit of a dump out there with Bitcoin dropping real fast, real quick. What's the reason for the dump? In my opinion, it is a reaction to the Fed speak. Powell talked at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We had the markets react to it, and this looks like a delayed reaction to me. I didn't even listen to what he said. All I know is that someone in our chat room, a member, sold their Bitcoin when he was asked about cryptocurrencies based on his response. And so that's signal number one. Someone sold in our group based on what he said. And then next thing you know, about a half hour later, the market sees a complete dump. So in my opinion, that's not a coincidence. If I see someone react to something and they sell, and then the market reacts a little bit later, I'm assuming that it's the same reaction and other people were seeing the same thing. But that's just speculation to a certain degree. All we know is daily consolidation is now underway. So this is why I personally remain patient, not going to chase. We know we're going to pull back to look for a daily higher low to form. We're back testing the daily exponential supports. If the bulls are going to remain in control, holding this level would be a good sign for bulls. If we don't, the more we pull back, the more likely we're going to stay in a tightening daily range. So we have our low and our high of the bounce. If the pullback holds the exponential support, we can see recovery and continuation. If we lose that level, then the odds of a tightening daily range become more likely. If we pull back down towards 10,000, then we would look for a higher low and then a lower high in a tightening range. Looking at it on the weekly perspective. So we're watching, are we just going to set a weekly lower high compared to 12,320 on this move? And if we lose the daily uptrend, that will be the case. Again, we haven't even set a daily higher low and higher high yet. We're not even in a daily uptrend. We have to set a clear higher low and higher high to confirm that trend change. This is what I would call in limbo. Are we in a downtrend? No. We broke the lower highs on this bull move. Are we in an uptrend on the daily? No. We have not seen a clear higher low and higher high to change that trend. So I would say we're in a bit of an ambiguous space, and I am currently in a bounce trade on Bitcoin. So I saw this pullback, and after the first couple candlesticks, I said, nah, I'm waiting for daily consolidation and just going to be patient, although I know there will likely be a short-term bounce. Then we flushed down this new candlestick, and I said, okay, I'm interested now, and I entered a position at 10,411, 10,311, and that was it. So my average was 10,360 or so. I sold half of it on a pop, and actually sold it a little bit. I had in my head that my average was 10,350, which it is not. So I sold it for about 0.8% or so. I sold half. So where that puts me right now is, let's say that I sold at 30, sold about for an $80 move from my average. So that means with the second half of my position that's left, if my average position was 1360, break even on that now goes down to 1280. So I have a stop loss at break even on the second half of my position, where if it drops back down under 10,300, I might have been saying the wrong level, 10,280. If it drops back down below 10,300, then I will stop out at break even. And if it doesn't, and if this bounce gets follow through, then I'll have a decent little position to look for a little bit further follow through on this bounce. So that's just a way that I can expose myself to potential profit and have zero risk with my stop loss set. So looking at the 4-hour time frame, the uptrend has been lost. We're not in a 4-hour downtrend, but we have lost the uptrend. So again, it would require a lower high and lower low to clearly set a defined downtrend. Otherwise, we're in that ambiguous space. We have lost the uptrend, but we're not in a 4-hour downtrend. So as far as I'm concerned, daily consolidation is underway, and we'll have to watch to see what this consolidation looks like. How are the other coins reacting? Ethereum just continues to reject from the daily exponential resistance. It's been a very clear brick wall, and that brick wall is holding. So we're looking at the low of 168.82. If that level breaks, we're looking at 163.57 as the low that the bulls must hold. ETH BTC, also still very weak. Even when this momentum shifts and we bounce, we're just looking for a daily lower high compared to 1808. So it's going to take a lot for the bulls to see a bounce, a higher low, and a higher high. That's not happening anytime soon, and that's what's required for me to be interested in either Ethereum or Litecoin. LTC also rejecting from daily exponential resistance. The low of this initial consolidation is 64.23. If that breaks, we're looking right back down to 62.05. no daily trend change for Litecoin nor Ethereum, and the LTC BTC chart getting a little bounce right now, which means Litecoin is not dropping as fast as Bitcoin just did, but anything under 6979 is just a lower high on the daily time frame. Daily exponential resistance has been a great guide for multiple months, actually really just 6 weeks, but again, just patient. If we do not change the daily trend on these Bitcoin pairings, I am not looking bullish on Litecoin and Ethereum. XRP rejecting from daily exponential resistance. Just look at how great this visual guide is. Every single bounce attempt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rejections from this exponential resistance in the last 3 or 4 weeks. 245 is support and 236 is support. Bulls have to hold 245 and break 267 to change this daily trend. And Binance, this is a weak bounce attempt. This is a daily trend change, a higher low and a higher high, but it has no follow through. And the fact that we're still rejecting from the daily exponential resistance means that we are weak. And the weekly time frame, this is a weak bounce. If we look at it on a 2-day chart, it looks like a bear flag. Bear flag's possible here. It's the daily trend change with the lack of follow through and the rejection from daily exponential resistance that is the red flag on this bounce attempt. Short-term support 2130 and then 2088 after it. Cannot stress enough on these names that are in prolonged downtrends how great of a guide these exponential moving averages are. And this is coming from someone, myself, using these same guides on the marijuana sector and the daily time frame. Looking at CGC, CGC has been struggling with this daily exponential resistance and in a very clear downtrend for about 3 months this summer. And now the question is, can we get over these levels, which would be notable? So again, I'm not acting on these exponential moving averages. There will be times where I will take profit if we hit that resistance. But as far as what I'm talking about, the longer term daily exponential moving averages, I use them just as a visual guide because it keeps things simple for me where I can look at these daily timeframes and not even have to put in 30 seconds of effort doing technical analysis. I can just say, are they still resistance? Yep. Okay, I'm not interested. The bears still have complete control. So once they start to break, that's when I zoom in. That's when I put in more time. That's when I look for other details and other time frames. But until that happens, it's just a great visual guide. So bottom line, bounce attempt is underway. We have the zoom out game. We know that zoom out game. If we reject or if we get over the 5-minute exponential resistance, which hasn't even been tested yet, we zoom out to the 15-minute chart and we look for a 15-minute lower high and watch the exponential resistances there. And then we would do it for the hourly time frame. So bears have short-term momentum. The bulls are trying to see a bounce play out. And we're looking to see, can the bulls hold the daily high or low with these exponential moving averages? If we drop to a lower low under 10,250, I will have been stopped out of my position by then, and that pullback will be more significant, and we'll look to 10,000 psychological from there. So that's where we stand. And again, the narrative from Powell wasn't necessarily negative for Bitcoin. He was talking about Libra and Facebook's coin and how they're going to be under intense scrutiny and things like that. It wasn't specific. It's just the timing seems a little too suspect to not be related to it, in my opinion. So hope you're well. Do get things out there. We'll check in and see how this daily consolidation shapes up into and through the weekend. And the bulls must change this daily trend back in their favor to set our sights back on weekly resistance of 12,320. So at this point, with where we stand, 9,000 is the must-hold support. We are $1,400 above support, and we are currently $1,900 below weekly resistance. So we got right to the midway point at the 10,800, 10,900 level and pulling back a bit. See you next time. Thanks again. If anybody has any ideas, I am very curious with these 4 bushes, the same variety and the same shape and size and the same location, why would this one be putting off a giant 6-foot tall top with the others not doing anything even similar? And obviously I haven't touched any of them, but just curious what would make that one so different. Magnolias continuing to bloom and pollinate. Continuing to deck out the trading space here. Got my rocks going on. Got a little terrarium with some succulents. And each morning I burn some sage and frankincense, and I got some copal and palo santo. get the mood going as I'm doing the whiteboard, getting ready for the morning doing stocks. And I got a big wool rug that I'm going to set here when it's cold enough and do some stretching on it in the morning. Money plant still going. It's got its top growth just starting to get a few more guys out the top. More plants. And it's going to be interesting to see how cold it gets here in the winter. We got this heater already, and I'll probably get another one, but definitely going to have to layer up. And for those who've been watching videos for at least 3 years, this is some artwork from the community farm spot I was living on. And my buddy is transitioning between places and has nowhere to put it. So it's in my living room for now. Some of our friends made this a little collaboration piece. And it's just on some big pieces of wood. Really cool tone to the living room.